Oh, hi. Good. Glad you're here. Let's see, who are we missing? I think we've got most everybody. We've got DFNA, Secretary Walther. I see Secretary Gillespie, Representative Allen, Senator Irvin, Secretary Fetcher, Dr. Bledsoe, Mr. Gossage, Secretary Preston, John Key. We're missing a couple. Here's one more coming in. Oh, good. There's Representative Gray. Hi. And I think Senator Wallace might be a minute late. He had another call that was supposed to be over by 4. So just sort of the.
Hi. Is Lane Jean on yet?
Not yet, but he said he would be calling in. So I'll watch for his number in case he doesn't have his video on. Thank you. And I'll let everybody else know, for those that called in a little bit early, I told them. I added a few items right about 20 minutes ago, so I'm sorry for the late entry, but we did get a document from DHS describing the senior center proposal, so that will be helpful for you to look at. I did update I got the updated spreadsheet from DFNA showing where we stand with funding. And the other item was a UAMS request to continue their seroprevalence antibodies study. I had accidentally left that off the list of requests to continue. We can go into a little more detail about that when DFNA speaks, but we do want them to be able to continue with that. I do see Department of Health is here. Representative Jean, is that you? 870 number?
I'm here.
Very good, thank you. Representative Allen, he is on.
Great.
So I think we are still just waiting for Senator Wallace, but let's go ahead and get started. It looks like we have the majority of our members here and present and available. And just a minute of mention about the agenda, which I was just referring to. One item that I left off of this list that you'll see the request to extend was the UAMS request to extend that antibody testing. So we'll mention that when we get to that point. I guess Secretary Walther will. And just so that y'all understand, my thought was that we have our list in front of us, and rather than having all of the departments or individuals who proposed these in the first place, that I have asked DFNA if they would present this as a batch request to extend these items. We have gone through them and spoken with each department, each agency, each of these requests specifically, as well as the other requests that are not being requested to continue, to make sure of what the needs are. We do have a lot of the individuals involved in these proposals on the call. So if there are specific questions, I'm happy to have y'all ask those, and then we'll get those questions addressed. But what I thought would be the most time sensitive, the best way to get through the time would just try to do them as a blanket request. So with that, I will open our meeting. Welcome to everybody. I think are already live streaming. Now we keep having people join. So it's just interrupted me. Okay, so does anybody, has everybody had an opportunity to look at the minutes? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes, Representative Jean.
Thank you, Representative Jean. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Senator Irvin. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. The minutes have been approved. I'll move on to Secretary Walther. If you could have a report for us explaining a little bit about the new funds and about the extension that we've received, so that we know where we're going.
That's the new stimulus, but we're not.
Okay. So the most recent federal stimulus action was House Bill 133. It was approved by Congress and signed by President Trump. It included a provision extending the deadline for utilization of the state's 1.25 billion CRF dollars to the end of 2021, 12/31/21. So relative to that, what I would like to do is make two motions. And if you would, Madam Chairman, I would like to describe them, the first motion, and then we'll take up the second one. We've consulted with the various departments, as the chairman mentioned earlier. Those are the ones who have remaining unused CRF allocations. And so I would make the following motion. I move that we extend the deadline to March the 30th of 2021 for the attached list on today's agenda to allow full utilization of those funds, with the exception of the first two lines under the Department of Commerce, which is titled Arkansas Rural Connect Broadband and Arkansas Rural Connect administrative costs. And those two programs would be extended to June the 15th of 2021 to be allowed adequate time for full utilization of those funds. So that is my first recommendation. That is the list that you see in front of you on the agenda. The first two would be extended to 6/15/21, and all the remaining would be extended to March the 30th of 2021. And I would make that as a motion and ask for a second.
I have a question.
Okay, yes.
Quick question. Would Arkansas, the rural ID broadband money, would that also be extended to June or not?
Let me look at the pot of money that
Is,
we're.
is,
Talking about the UAMS.
The UAMS.
which one is she talking about?
At UAMS.
Oh, I don't, is UMS on here?
It's the rural broadband ID program would also, I would ask to be extended to June.
Okay. Let me see where that is on our list.
Madam Chairman, did they ask
That
that it
money's
be
already been,
extended?
They pulled it all down.
they've already pulled all that money down. We're not holding any of those funds.
So it's been returned?
No,
As,
UAMS
Sen-
has that money to, we've already,
as far as I understand, Senator Irvin, I believe that UAMS has the funds and is utilizing those if they have not already. They've requested the funds from DFNA. DFNA has provided the funds to them.
And I
Okay.
guess to the extent that those have not been expended, they could continue to spend them since we've already allocated or provided the money to them.
Okay, yes, okay. I'm clear now. Thank you very much. I'm
That's
good with
fine.
what
No,
you're.
thank you. I appreciate that.
I'll second Larry's motion.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Representative Jean, for the second. Okay.
Just a clarification, so, and
Yes.
just so it's straight in the record, because the agenda says extend the deadline from December 30th, March 2020 to March 30th, 2020. I think that's
Oh, my
probably a
goodness.
typo, and make sure that
I forgot to tell you that, but my motion is for 21.
all right, just making sure we were for the record, so
Madam,
I'm supportive of that date.
Thank you very much, and my apologies. That was my mistake. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
You, okay, hi.
Secretary Gillespie.
Yes, could we discuss for a second, two of the ones under DHS that are the community outreach grants and the veterans mental health grants? Both of those are areas where our plan had been to go back out and do another round of funding. And part of the issue we ran into the last time, if you'll remember, is it takes several weeks to go out with a round of funding. And then once we get the monies out, we will have the same thing of people only have 2 weeks to spend it all to try to serve folks. So Is it possible to get those two extended to a later date than March of 21? The first two are for PPE reimbursement largely and will be fine. But I'm worried we're going to wind up in another cycle of a really rapid grant process with not enough time for the money to be effectively used by the recipients.
Secretary Gillespie, I don't have any problem extending that also. I thought that had already been discussed with DHS, and that's why we did not include it on an additional extension beyond the
I'm sorry.
3/31.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Somehow I didn't know that till just now. So my
Okay.
apologies. And
Well,
so those two would be a problem. If we could do the end of June for those two, like the others, that would be great.
6/15? How about 6/15? Okay.
6/15 is wonderful.
Then I will modify my recommendation to include those two items, which are under DHS, to also extend to 6/15, if that's permissible, Madam Chairman.
That is permissible to me. Representative Jean, is that, will you still?
I will change my second to that.
accept? Thank you. Okay, so our motion is to extend the deadline to June 30th of 2021. I'm sorry, March 30th of 2021 for all of the items listed except for the Rural Connect, broadband and administrative costs and DHS community outreach and crisis stabilization units. Those would be June 15th of 21. Are there any questions related to the motion?
I don't hear any.
Good. Okay, I see a question from Representative Allen. Yes, go ahead.
Just for clarification, it was extended until December. The feds extended until December of 2021. Am I correct?
That's correct. Yes, the federal extension is through December of 2021, but we felt like the best use of our funds would be to go ahead, because we had actually allocated these in the first place to be used before December of 20, is to get the dollars out, take care of the needs that we know that are existing now.
Okay, thanks for clarification.
Thank you. And then also our appropriations do run through June.
Okay.
So that's another reason why we really don't want to go past June if we can help it. Any other questions?
I do have a question.
Who is that?
Dr. James. Hi, we'll get to your issue here in just a minute because it was not on this list and I'll explain that. Thank you. Okay, if we have no other questions related to this motion from Secretary Walther, are we ready for a vote? Okay, y'all open your mics. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, great. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. I appreciate that. Now we have a couple
I'd like to do my second motion.
There you go.
In addition to the proposal listed on the agenda, the dispersing officer also requests a continuation of funding until funds are expended for the following: the reimbursement for state agencies for the purchase of PPE, the reimbursement of UAMS for continuing antibody testing, purchase of PPE for the Arkansas Department of Emergency Management, and reimbursement for the cost associated with the statewide marketing campaign to slow the spread of COVID-19. And those have actually been sent to the agencies, one of which is BFA, and that allows us to continue to pay for PPE for the most part and for the antibody testing and the marketing campaign until those dollars have been expended. That's my motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Johnny Key, second.
Thank you, Secretary Key. Are there any questions to the motion? No questions? Okay, are y'all ready for a vote? Please open your mics. All those in favor of the second motion related to state agencies, UAMS, and emergency management marketing campaign?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Wonderful. Thank you so much. Dr. James, you've done an excellent job. Our motion has passed, so you will be able to continue your work with the antibodies and seroprevalence. We do appreciate your hard work at UAMS. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Now, the last thing, I guess, Secretary Walther, are you going to go over the unallocated funds, or did you want to speak to the continuity of care DHS request?
I had not planned on, I guess I could.
Okay. That's okay.
And I'm not sure if I've got, we produce these spreadsheets on a daily basis, and I'm not sure if I've got, what is the, I got the 19th there, yeah, I got the 19th. Right now we have a balance of $86.442 million. That has been allocated but not spent. We have the remaining balance, including the interest that we've received, of $41.917 million. So that's kind of where we are. The money that we've discussed this just a few minutes ago will cause that 86 million to decline, I would say, significantly, and so any money that we decide that we need to, any projects that we decide we need to fund will come out of the $41.9 million. And I think everyone's seen this report many times. And so does anybody have any questions that they have?
Thank you. Any questions?
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. We did have one piece. I do not think that this is not on the agenda, but it was a correction after I talked with DHS today when we were looking at the numbers. Their request for continuity of care emergency reimbursement. On our agenda, we have just approved 1.255 million. They had actually returned a significant amount from that. And I think Secretary Gillespie, are you wanting to request to have that up to 2 million to have some of those funds returned, or are you going to wait on that?
I think what we'll do, we were just discussing it here. I think what we'll do is we'll just wait on it.
Okay.
We'll start with the 1.2 million. This is to reimburse providers for PPE is essentially what it is. And if we do use that up and run out, we may come back and ask for a little bit more. We returned about 13 million. And so we'll just start with the 1.255. And since we're only going through March, see how that does.
Great. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. That's helpful. Okay, now we have Secretary Gillespie and Senator Gary Stubblefield had asked, and I think I provided y'all with the letter from him earlier, and then another letter requesting funding for senior centers, and DHS has worked to put together a plan for that. So Secretary Gillespie, would you like to speak to that, please?
Sure, I'll be happy to. What you have in front of you today is a proposal to use $1 million to provide reimbursement to senior centers for direct beneficiary related activities. As you can see, it is around serving meals and helping individuals, providing transportation, etc. It's the way we would set this up if this is approved is that we will the money would be drawn by the AAAs in the state, and they would then be required per the formula to ensure that every senior center in the state got a share of the monies. There are 165 senior centers around the state. They're in every county. So this would disperse this money all over the state. We would do it as allocations based on the formula that you can see, with each senior center choosing whether to draw its allocation. And then we will give them a period of time in which to use that allocation and then provide documentation to us on the expenses that they incurred against it. And if they have not been able to use that funding, then of course they would return it to us. This is sort of the standard practice we've used. And then we're able to also go back in and audit afterwards to ensure the funds were spent in accordance with the requirements. But it would get some funding into their hands right now in the middle of the problems some of them are having, and allow them to have a source to draw on before they get funding from other sources. Same rules would also apply. They cannot get reimbursed for something that they have been reimbursed by other federal or state sources.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions regarding this proposal?
This is Michelle.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Now I'm just trying to figure out, that was, I guess my question was, what expenses do we expect them to have that they hadn't already budgeted for or that aren't going to be reimbursed by either the state or federal government?
What we're hearing, and Mark White is moving over here, so I'm going to let him join in. But what we're hearing from them is that they do have some expenses that they're having to incur that they're not getting federal reimbursement for because of the way the feds actually require them to report on a per person basis. So this is where they would be able to actually get reimbursed, not necessarily looking at it from a per person, but looking at it from a purchase, if that makes sense. Mark, do you want to chime in? I'll move over so you can take off your mask and talk.
And I'll just add that, you know, they do have additional expenses they have incurred and are continuing to incur related to the pandemic. Of course, getting PPE, they need additional equipment and supplies because they're doing more home delivered meals now rather than congregate meals. So there are some expenses that they've incurred as a result of the pandemic that are necessarily reimbursed by those federal dollars.
Thank you. Are there other questions?
I think Representative Gray may have frozen, so I don't know if we
Representative
satisfied her
Gray,
question.
are you there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm good. I just haven't actually heard what those actual expenses are yet. I know I've not been reached out to by any of my senior centers, and I'm just trying to figure out what the expenses are. And I guess if we end up approving this, at the end of the day, they have to prove what those expenses were and that they weren't reimbursed.
Exactly. It is set up as a reimbursement, not as a pot of money that does not have, you know, requirements around it.
Any additional questions? Okay. Is there a motion related to, and let me ask if Senator Stubblefield was able to join us. That might be him on the.
I'll make a motion at the proper time.
Thank you, Senator Irvin. I'll take that motion. Is there a second? Second by Representative Allen. Thank you. Any, okay, no questions. Are we ready for a vote? Let's open our mics. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion has passed. Thank you, Secretary Gillespie. And I will say thank you to Senator Stubblefield for bringing that to us. And we will move on to the next item. Thank y'all so much. The last item that we have, and I do have Secretary Graves from Department of Corrections here to speak to this. Y'all have received a proposal and it outlines details about the needs. What they need is It's only $29,544 for a temporary climate-controlled storage unit for the PPE that they'll need for the Department of Corrections. So if y'all would like to discuss, we can ask questions, or if there's a
It does
motion.
happen.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Senator Irvin.
Second.
Thank you, Representative Allen. Any questions or discussion? None? Okay, thank you. Open up your mics and we'll have a vote. I think Secretary Grace, did you need to say something, or are you okay with us going forward with the vote?
I was just extending my thanks for the support of the steering committee.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Great. Thank you so much. The motion has passed. I really appreciate that. And Secretary Graves, thank you for your hard work and taking care of the Department of Corrections. That, I believe, concludes our business that we've had on the agenda. I will say I did see Secretary Cook has joined us. Is there any other business that anybody needs to bring before?
Can I?
Yes, Senator Irvin, go ahead.
Two things. One is, and this is really one is brought to me by Senator Ballinger, and I've encouraged him to write a letter to this committee regarding the fact that people did not have turkey Thanksgiving dinners. And so a Butterball plant in Missouri closed down, which left a lot of our turkey farmers in a real bad situation up in Carroll County. And so I know that Senator Ballinger is trying to find a solution to help with those farmers because of they have a lot more turkeys than than people were purchasing. So I've just encouraged Senator Ballinger to write a letter to us and maybe perhaps work with the Department of Agriculture to see if there's anything to help with. It's absolutely due to COVID because people weren't gathering because they were following our directions and not gathering for Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners. Therefore, it cut back on the needs to purchase a big turkey and cook it. So we have a lot of farmers that got their contracts canceled and they're hurting. And so it's just something that our state needs to be aware of. And I've encouraged him to bring that forward to us. And I'm not sure what that looks like, but I'm just wanting the task force to know about it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Anything else? Any other? Okay.
May set
Thank
a
you.
record. We may set a
I know.
record.
I was gonna say, I'm so happy to give you a record. We are finished in less than 30 minutes. So I want to thank you for all the very long meetings that we've had. And welcome to the new 2021 CARES Act Steering Committee. Thank y'all so much. Have a great afternoon. Bye.